Hello fellow folks, and welcome to my channel where I talk a little bit about me as an amputee. Today we're going to answer some questions that were presented by a viewer on one of my videos. If you would like to submit your own questions, you can send it to my email listed up here. But for now, let's go ahead and get to the questions. Why did you decide to make a YouTube channel, and how did you come up with the channel name? Well, I decided to create a YouTube channel because I feel that it's important to be a voice for people that are like myself, that might not be as comfortable with sharing their story. I'm a third generation teacher, so for me, I feel like this is an opportunity to be able to lend another voice as an educator. And as far as how did I come up with my channel name? That is a fun one. So my channel name is Zombie Teddy Bear. And the reason for that is after my first surgery, when I got my initial amputations, I asked my dad how much of my limbs I had left. Because at the time, first of all, I wasn't able to see any of my limbs except for this arm. And this arm was all patched up. My legs I couldn't see because they were always covered up. And with phantom sensation, I could still feel all of my legs, so I wasn't sure how much of my legs they took. So I asked my dad how much of my legs I had left. He basically told me that I have my legs up to the femurs, but I don't have anything from the knees down. And so I realized, oh, so I'm like a teddy bear. And we thought that was kind of funny because sometimes I feel like a little teddy bear with my legs and my arms kind of short, kind of like Winnie the Pooh. So that was kind of a running gag, that with my legs as short as they are, now I'm kind of like a teddy bear. And the zombie part of it was we were also kind of joking back and forth how for Halloween I could go as a zombie, and then I was like, or I could go as a zombie teddy bear. And we all thought that was kind of funny, and so it just kind of turned into a running gag, kind of an inside joke, that now I'm a zombie teddy bear. So that's why I'm Zombie Teddy Bear on my YouTube channel. How old are you? Well, normally it is not appropriate to ask a lady her age, but in my case, I'm okay with it because most people think that I'm younger than I look. Well, before I answer that question, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to give you a moment to pause in the comments. How old do I look? Okay, enough of that. So I am 41, and I was admitted to the hospital at 40. It was about 6 months after my birthday. So I'm currently 41, on the way to 42 eventually. What caused it? Was it sepsis? Yes and no. The initial cause of the entire event was a bacterial and viral infection at the same time. I had a very nasty case of strep, and I just was lucky that I got the attention that I needed at the time that I needed it. I would say that overall I'm very grateful because it could have been a lot worse than it was. Some people got the attention that they needed soon enough not to have any long-term effects. Some people, they got the attention that they needed, but it did have long-term effects, such as myself, and others didn't make it. So I would consider myself very fortunate. What caused me to need to have my limbs amputated was the very treatment that I was on that was saving my life was also putting my quality of life at risk as far as my limbs. It was a tough call to make that my father made on my behalf because at the time I was unconscious, and my best chance was to be put on vasopressors, which they knew carried a risk of necrosis if I was on vasopressors for too long. It carries that risk substantially after about the first 5 days, and I was unconscious for 10. The vasopressors were concentrating all the oxygen in my body to my core to help it recover from what I was sick with. After about the 5th day, they did start to notice some necrosis in my limbs. As I've been told, it started off with my toes and my fingertips, and it just progressed little by little throughout my hands and through my legs. So by the time I woke up, I needed a full amputation of my hands and my legs up to the knee to eliminate the necrosis. There were additional surgeries that needed to be done to ensure that it wouldn't come back. All in all, I went through about 28 or so, give or take, surgeries over the course of about 4 months. I had about 2 to 3 surgeries a week. The first surgeries were my hands and my legs at the knee, and then they made more progress on my amputations little by little until the necrosis was completely cleared, and then they were able to do additional surgery after that to patch up, for lack of a better term, what they had to remove. They took skin grafts from my back to patch up the damage that was done to my legs and my arms, and there was also some plastic surgery that was done to maintain the nerve sensation in my extremities so I'd be a better candidate for certain prosthetics. I'm glad to say that I feel like the majority of that nerve work was successful because I still have full sensation in my arms and legs, but I do not suffer from major issues with phantom pain, which is something that a lot of people with amputations can suffer from. In my case, I don't. I have phantom sensation, but not phantom pain. And the benefit of phantom sensation is when I get my prosthetics, those sensations can be used in part to help me adapt to the prosthetics that I receive. So what initially caused the event was a lung infection that was both bacterial and viral, and it just spread very quickly. If something feels off, see a doctor right away. I saw a doctor as soon as I could, and because I did, I was able to save my life. Definitely don't doubt yourself. It's always better to second guess yourself and get checked out than it is to write it off and be wrong. What year did this happen? It actually happened a little over a year ago. I first went into the hospital February 25th of 2024, and I was hospitalized until October 19th of 2024. So I was in the hospital for a total of about 8.5 months, 4 months in ICU, 6 weeks in recovery, another 6 weeks at a long-term care facility to help with continuing the healing of my wounds, and another 6 weeks at Baylor for physical therapy and rehab. And since then, I've been doing at-home physical therapy, and I am going to start doing outpatient physical therapy very soon, and I can't wait to share that with you. You seem like you have a good attitude and personality. Thank you so much for that. I really do try. I feel that it's important to stay focused on the positive, stay focused on the things that I have control. That's not to say I don't recognize and appreciate the negatives that are associated with my challenges and my current journey. It's always important to identify the elephant in the room. However, I do my best to strive to stay focused on what I can do that even if I can't be positive, I can at least be productive. If I'm feeling sad or upset, then I own that and I give it its space, but I try to always see what I can do to learn from that experience and learn from those feelings. Whatever your struggle might be, it's important to have as many voices as possible to know that you're not alone. If I can be another voice to that, it's really important to me to do that. Hopefully, I can be as authentic as possible with how I feel about things and what I'm going through. And of course, since this is social media, You're always going to see as much as possible the best that I can give you. You're not always going to see the times when I'm feeling more vulnerable, but that's an important thing to feel too. How has this affected your mental health? I feel like this hasn't had an effect on my overall mental health because my mental health is something that I've constantly been working on, especially after social distancing. I think a lot of us were working on our mental health after social distancing. It has definitely reshaped my approach to my mental health, but I think it's really reinforced a lot of the practices that I was already implementing. It has just solidified those practices even more. I had always been very active in my church community. I'm a Unitarian. Another thing that I had been learning about for my mental health prior to that event was I had been learning about Stoicism. And Stoicism in a nutshell is you don't have control over anything that happens in your life. The only thing that you have control over is how you choose to respond to it. So that is something that I have striven to stay focused on throughout this journey that I'm on. And thankfully, I had a lot of those practices and philosophies in place well before this event happened, which I'm very thankful for. I also implemented some Zen meditation, especially very early on in my recovery. I would focus on the second hands of the clock and try to focus on my breathing, figure out how slowly I could breathe in and breathe out based off of the ticks on the clock. I also enjoyed watching Disney cartoons, especially Bluey, and really focusing on things that made me happy. Did it affect any other parts of your body besides limbs, like organ damage? Thankfully, for the long term, no. At the beginning, the answer was yes. I had issues with my lungs, I had issues with my kidneys, I had issues with my gallbladder. Name an organ, I probably had issues with it. If there was something that could be hooked up to it, I was hooked up. I had a machine that did my breathing, I was on dialysis, I was on a feeding tube, I had something that was helping with the toxins. I had a little tube in my side for my gallbladder. So you name it, they hooked me up to it, I would assume. Thankfully, with time and patience and a lot of help from doctors and nurses, I was able to make a full recovery as far as my organs. The biggest milestone was being able to come off of dialysis, which everybody was very thankful for because fortunately, I don't have to be on dialysis anymore. So yay for that. I would also attribute that full recovery to the fact that I lived as healthy a lifestyle as I could before this event. I've always had a big focus on eating healthy, being active. The nurses said that a lot of my recovery was probably because of how well I took care of myself. So this is my little PSA. Make sure you eat as healthy as you can and be as active as you can. Lots of fruits and vegetables and move that body. What did you do for work and hobbies, and what about now? Before this event, I was an elementary music teacher for K through 5th. I was active in my church choir. I also had a side business as a balloon artist. That's something that I'd done for about a decade and something that I kind of considered a hobby that I got paid for. As far as for now, I am looking forward to going back to being an elementary music teacher, and I can't wait to share with all of you how that process goes. As far as my balloon art, even though at the moment I am not able to do balloon art, I am teaching my youngest child. We have a family tradition that they were able to continue making a Christmas tree out of balloons. When my kids were very little, we didn't have enough money for a Christmas tree and presents, so I decided why not make a Christmas tree out of balloons. And the kids liked it so much, it just became an annual tradition of ours. So I always started the tree a couple of days before Christmas and finished it up on Christmas Eve, and then we would pop all the balloons on Three Kings Day. Thankfully, we were able to continue that tradition with my youngest making the Christmas tree this year. As far as new hobbies that I've taken on since this event, I got this really cool steel tongue drum from my aunt, and it's been very fun to play. I just strap on mallets onto my arms, and then I play the steel tongue drum with the mallets on my arms. In addition to learning the steel tongue drum, I've also taken up learning some different languages. I've been learning a little bit of Italian, a little bit of French, a little bit of Spanish, and a little bit of Portuguese, just for fun. As far as any other hobbies, making and editing YouTube videos. Will you get prosthetics and when? Yes, I will get prosthetics. When? Your guess is as good as mine. I am with a prosthetic company called Hanger. They're doing a great job with me. I have been fitted for my arms a few months back. It does take a little bit of a process going back and forth through the insurance to get approval for the specific prosthetics that they're trying to advocate for me to get. I am trying to get myoelectrics to start, which are prosthetics that use sensors on your muscles that pick up the flexion of the muscles to open and close the prosthetics. Often they'll give you body-powered prosthetics first, which kind of fit like a sort of backpack, and when you move one arm, it controls the other hand. They're trying to make the case to go for myoelectrics first instead of the body power because of some concerns that they have with skin integrity on my back, because they grafted donor skin from my back to put on my arms and legs. And so due to the healing process that I was under, they were making the case that they wanted to reduce any concerns with skin integrity to use my prosthetics. As of right now, my skin is fully healed of any wounds that I have, but the skin is still kind of red in the back. It kind of looks like a little bit of a sunburn. I don't feel it per se. It doesn't cause me any discomfort necessarily, but there is still some concerns about the skin integrity if I'm wearing the prosthetics for a long period of time. So they are advocating for me to get the myoelectrics, which is a little bit of a longer process. As far as my legs are concerned, there was a major delay because I had wounds on my legs, especially on the side of my right leg. They weren't very deep, they were very superficial, but it still prevented me from being able to wear liners, which are the first step towards getting the prosthetics fit properly. As of a couple weeks ago, my wounds have finally fully healed and my skin integrity is well enough for me to be able to start using liners. Basically what the liners do is they provide compression for my legs so that it keeps my legs as small as possible, and it takes away the variable of water retention. You know how if you're up and about for a long period of time, sometimes your ankles swell, and just in general our body fluctuates just a little bit. Well, that little bit can make a big difference in the overall fit of my prosthetics. So I have to wear the liners for about 3 weeks to a month before they can fit me for my legs. And then when they fit me for the legs, what they're going to do, just like they did with my arms, is they're going to put a plaster cast over my legs, and they're going to use that cast to get as accurate fit for the prosthetics that I'll be using. Do you have carers? How many, and are they family? I do have people that care for me. The main people who take care of me right now are my mother and my eldest daughter. My mother handles all the logistics in my care, making phone calls with providers, insurance, handling my leave with the district that I currently work for, all the red tape and bureaucracy. She handles that on my behalf so that I can focus more on my health and my recovery. My eldest daughter is the one that takes care of the majority of my day-to-day tasks. She helps me get out of bed. She helps set me up with my meals. She helps make sure I'm on schedule with my medication. As each day progresses, I get a little bit more and more self-sufficient. I still do need a lot of support and a lot of help, but there are a lot of things that I can do for myself that I wasn't able to do at the beginning. One thing especially that I'm grateful for, I can feed myself, which I couldn't do for about 8 or 9 months. For the first 4 months, I was fed by a feeding tube, and after that, I was mostly fed by my daughter. Now, they just need to set me up with a plate, set me up with my utensils, and I'm good to go. How is your family coping? Very carefully. I would consider myself very blessed for the family that I have and the help that I have received. Most especially my mom and my daughter pretty much put their lives on hold to be here to take care of me ever since they got the news. They've been here ever since, and they've committed to being here until I am at a point where I have my full autonomy and can go back to living my life in this new normal. Well, that's all the questions that we have for this video. Feel free to submit your own in the comments down below, or you can send a direct message to me to my email listed up here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.